You're listening to the Brilliant Breakthroughs Podcast, episode number 38 with Mike Raber.
Hi, small business owners. Welcome to the Brilliant Breakthroughs Podcast, where we focus on creating brilliant breakthroughs for the small business owner. FYI, that's also the name of the #1 Amazon best-selling book for small business and entrepreneurship. The good news is you can find this book in paperback as well as ebook form. So just so you know which one it is on Amazon, go to Brilliant Breakthroughs for the small business owner. Fresh perspectives on profitability, people, productivity, and finding peace in your business. And the 2017 book has a vibrant blue cover on it, so you know that that's the one we're referencing today. So I want to say hello, small business rock stars. My name is Maggie Mongan, and I'm the anthology leader of this great book. That's really another way of saying I'm the one who had a great idea and invited other people to do it, and I created how it laid out. So that's all that means there. But what I am more excited about is today we are honored to have Mike Raber, a #1 best-selling author, with us to talk about your business's people performance and how you can go ahead and improve your business through relationships. Mike, welcome.
Hello, Maggie. It's nice to be talking with you again.
Absolutely. Can you believe it's another podcast for you and I?
Yes, what fun. I always enjoy them.
Likewise. So Mike's chapter, everyone, it's the 5th one in the book, and it's titled How to Avoid the 3 Most Common Challenges Every Small Business Owner Encounters. Mike, you covered a ton of information in the book. And I know that, but yet I also know that you barely scratched the surface on what's really happening in a small business owner's world. And because of that, I know you are an expert at what you do, and I thought it would be really cool if we could get a little more of the inside scoop of Mike's world and why Mike does what he does. So you want to play a little bit and answer a couple questions?
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay, because, I'm sure you're already having people ask you this. I have people ask me this. Oh, well, you're an expert. Well, what do you do? What do you really do? That's a little different. What do you really do? You know that one, right? You're chuckling right now. So I know you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, common question.
Right. So, Mike, what do you do?
Well, if you were to ask me, the first thing that would come out of my mouth would be, I am a wealth and business coach. And then usually you would look at me somewhat confused. What's that? And in essence, between working and running various real estate offices, working within a financial industry, owning multiple businesses myself, and coaching and helping other people build, grow, and design businesses that will help them create a financial asset, not just a business, but a financial asset that, if structured properly, will allow them to live a great life and have a lot of fun through the process.
Okay, now
one of the things that's fine.
Pardon me, keep going. I'll come back to my question. I have it right here, ready to go.
Oh, I was going to say, one of the things that's been so much fun through the process of doing that is helping people move from a more traditional business approach to an less traditional or often untraditional approach, and finding out where they really fit within the business world and where the business fits within their own world.
Okay, that is cool stuff. And I have 2 questions from that. The first one is, you said a financial asset.
Yes.
What do you mean when you say a financial asset? Because that can mean a lot of different things.
Yes. Well, I will use myself and my wife as an example. My
Oh,
wife work, she put money into her 401k, put money into other investments, funds for the kids, all that good stuff. The more traditional financial approaches. And one would say that if they ask her, do you have financial assets, like a 401k, etc., a house, things that people normally associate with a financial asset in their life, while I was building a business. And I looked at the business, that the business is in a way a 401k. A business is in a way whatever I want to make of it. Yes, it brings the money right now, but really the purpose of building the business when I created and built the business was knowing at some point, just like one puts money into a 401k, so at some point they can retire, right?
uh-huh.
My business had two goals. One was to build and create enough money within the business to live the life I wanted to live, give me the financial freedom to be able to make the choices I wanted to make. If I wanted to get up and go to work, it was up to me to do so. But
Okay.
at the same time, I wanted to be able to, at some point, sell the business and to hire other people to run the business. For me, it was to sell the business because I had other goals I wanted to accomplish. For others, it might be to hire and bring in other people that run the business, and now the business is producing, making money without them in the business.
Okay.
And that is what I refer to as a financial asset. Much like a 401k, if a business is structured properly, it will become an asset that will allow you to either sell it and walk away with a big pot of money, or to pull money from it that now funds other lifestyle choices, let's say. Unfortunately, though, many people, when they build a business, it really becomes a job. It's not a business as much as a job.
Right. They
And
just
who
create their
wants
own
another
job.
job?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Versus creating a financial asset. That's what I mean when I say that.
Okay. So that's a really cool shift about thinking about your business as a financial asset, because when you do that, then you make different decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And I promote my clients when they are savvy on the business side of things, and I call them a brilliant CEO
Mm-hmm.
instead of just a CEO. And I think that's really cool because most small business owners don't see themselves as a CEO, much less a brilliant CEO. And
Mm-hmm.
and one of the factors, even though I had not known your term financial asset as a business, or a business as a financial asset, excuse me, that is part of what the brilliant CEO does in my world when I'm working with clients. So I love this. I'm going to have to go ahead and share your phrase with my clients and give you attribution on that because it
Thank
makes a
you.
lot of sense. Yeah. Now, the other thing you said that was really cool about what you do, and I think this is probably part of why you do it, is you were talking about traditional and untraditional business and how it looks. I'm going to step a little further, how it feels, the perception of it, things like that. And I think this is your why do you do what you do? Am I right?
Yes.
All right. So
Definitely.
lay it on us because you have a really cool story. And I know you can do it, even though it's a longer story, I know you can condense it into what we need here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Okay. Well, I guess in a nutshell, why I do what I do is because I am empowered, or I gain true delight from helping other people become better versions of themselves, helping other people find or create resources that allow them to bring a dream into flourishing, or to go out and do something that makes a positive difference in their own life and in the lives of others. It's like you and I have talked in other conversations about one of my more favorite phrases: by ourselves, we can do great things.
right.
Yet together we can climb the highest mountain.
Mm-hmm.
And a business is very much the same way. That we build a business, kind of like we were just talking about, to create a financial asset, to bring money right now, income into our family, into our community, into our own lives, so we can do the things we do. We build a business because we have a talent, or we have a passion, a skill community needs, and we want to offer it back to the community. And then there's a whole array or series of other reasons why people build businesses. But really, the key reasons why I myself, and if a person are able to listen to other podcasts that you and I did or Jake and I did, I kind of share a lot of stories about how I was able to use the business within my own family to do great things.
Right.
And the greatest thing about building a business that I found, and why I teach other people to do it, is when I first started out building a business, I knew that I wanted to learn how to build a business so I could teach other people how to do so. What I didn't know is in the course of building this business, I would be able to stay home and take care of my 3 children. And in essence, be a stay-at-home dad, but I was a stay-at-home dad building a great business. I was able to get all 3 kids involved in the business at an early age. So even though I don't think any of the 3 will probably work with me within that business, other businesses perhaps, but even though I didn't build a family business, so to speak, that the kids now grow up and they take over while I go off and do whatever. They learn the skill sets. They learn how to think like a business person or like an entrepreneur, which then went into their schoolwork. The one is now helping them in their college experience. It's allowed them to get scholarships for college, etc. So learning those skill sets allowed them to pursue other avenues in their own lives that had I not had a business, I would have been able to share with them and teach them. It gave us the ability to meet really cool people. My kids, my daughter met Jim Rohn, Zig Ziglar, a lot of these speakers that talked from the stage. As a 9-year-old kid, she was hanging out talking to them as a mentor to a kid. I mean, it was great, the conversations that they were able to have with these very influencing people or influencers out there. The business allowed them to do that. It allowed me to, and still allows me to meet great people such as yourself and to break bread with, to learn with, to share ideas with, and then take those ideas and go out there and bless those around me. And really, I guess in a nutshell, that is why I continue to do what I do, because every time I sit down and talk with someone, I give them a couple ideas, they give me a couple ideas, we both walk away better, with more knowledge or more, we both benefit from the conversation, let's put it that way.
Okay.
But at the same time, I know that I gave them something that allowed them to now go out and implement, and from that, their life, their business changes. So what better way to live than to help those around our community and make money doing so? And
Amen.
have fun at the same time.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Well, and a couple other things, but that's an important part of it. And everyone, I just want you to know, Mike is always out traveling, and the connection is just a little off at certain points in this recording. So please bear with us on this. It comes and it goes, but we're going to proceed a little more because this is good stuff. So, Mike, you have a really cool story about traditional and untraditional business. According to when you were a father of younger children sitting in the park. And I think this really starts to nail it. And even though that was last century, in this century, we have a different acceptance as to how business can look and how families can look and function. I'd love for you to share something that happened with your park story.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what Maggie is referring to is when our kids, my wife and I had 3 kids, when they were younger, like all kids, they needed to burn up energy and wanted to go to the park.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be able to go to the park and hang out with them. The challenge is when it's 1 o'clock, and again, not so much in today's world, but when my kids were young, backing up 10 years, 20 years ago, things were a bit different. The guy was expected to put on a suit if you're a business, go to work, be in an office, come home late into the evening, have dinner if you're lucky with your family, and well, watch you eat to beaver and figure out the rest. And I felt like I needed to be in that environment. That was the role that I felt like through cultural teachings, I felt like I was supposed to fall into, but that was not at all who I was. That was not at all what my skill sets were.
Okay.
So it was a conundrum. How do I be this stay-at-home dad, hang out in the park with my kids, and at the same time fall into the traditional businessman's or person's theme? So what I would do is I would put the kids in their play gear and we would get all our stuff together and we would go to the park and I would put on a suit. And I would go to the park and I would sit on the bench while the kids are playing and I would watch them and throw the ball and occasionally interject. But the nice thing about having twins or having 3 kids is they entertain themselves.
Okay.
So while they were playing and playing with other kids in the park, I sat there and made phone calls and did business that I would normally do at my desk, but from the park. And it was funny. I remember one time I was sitting on a park bench and this older lady walks up to me and she sits down and she says, "Wow, you are really considerate." And I kind of puzzled by the phrase. I said, "Really? Well, thank you, but why is that?" And she said, "Because it's really thoughtful how you took time out of your busy day to give your wife a break." And I'm thinking to myself, no, my wife's at work. But why else would a guy in a suit be in a park at 3:30 or whatever in the afternoon?
Right.
So the funny thing and the nice thing about today's world, though, is now we can wear what we want to wear. We can take our kids to the park at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and make phone calls or work on our laptop or whatever, and it's business as usual. So like you said, it's a great example of how do we find traditional ways to kind of work around our less traditional desires or goals or things that we have to do in our business.
Well, sure. There's a lot of things with what you said because when your children were younger, it still wasn't the norm to see any parent at any time of the day at a park, much less in a suit or not.
Mm-hmm.
It was typically the stay-at-home parent, usually the mom, that had the opportunity to do that. And now everything's different. In this century, everything is different. And you don't even have to put on the suit to have the facade anymore,
Yeah.
you know? And yet those who are in a suit, that's okay too. And nobody thinks anything of this anymore. Because
Right.
we have such flexibility with our schedules now. And I think that's one of the challenges that we're still facing in this century is how do we play the game? How do we play the game of creating a financial asset? Okay, regardless of if it's our own or if we're working for someone else who's doing that. How do we create a financial asset and do it in a way that we're true to ourselves and we accommodate our family needs, whatever family means?
Mm-hmm.
Because everything has shifted. And you made me laugh when you referenced Leave It to Beaver, because there's like a whole generation that doesn't even know what that is.
Right.
And they need to scout it out so they can laugh. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, this is how your parents were raised, and definitely your grandparents, and these expectations of how everything ought to be. And that's not reality.
No.
So thank you. And that's really why you do it is there's a different way of being and you figured it out. And you're right, you were designed for it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I take my hat off to the millennial generation towards is, and especially thinking outside the box, so the more non-traditional business approach is a lot of times people still look at being a business as a 9 to 5 type job or type routine.
Right.
And yet many millennials who will easily work 50, 60 hours a week. but they do it throughout their life. They do, or throughout their day. They plan their work into their day, and it might be like, as an example, on Saturday, if you go to Costco at 3:30 in the afternoon, it is not at all uncommon to see 40 or so people between the couples between the ages of 25 and 30 shopping, because they can. They know it's more efficient to go to Costco at 2:30 in the afternoon than when everybody is off of work shopping. And then they go back home, or they go back to their office or where the computer is, their car, and they go back to work. So they can do in 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. workday or life day, still put in 10 hours of work. It's just not from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. It's spread out around or throughout the day, and they build their lifestyle into it. And they build their work style around their lifestyle, which is so powerful when you think about it. They can get so much more done and still live a high quality life, more efficient.
Well, I agree with that. I go to the gym before 5 in the afternoon because I know that's when everybody else has the opportunity to be there. And, I don't do it first thing in the morning because people try to get there before work, and I don't do it after work.
Mm-hmm.
Why would I?
Right.
I can go in there, I can have access to everything I want. It is an efficiency a practice of mine, and I just shift
Mm-hmm.
to accommodate what will serve me better, and being aware of what others have going on. So just like your couples in Costco, that's how I do my gym.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it makes a big difference. So you're this guy that is a born entrepreneur. That's what I just heard you say. Okay.
Yes.
You've done business successfully, and you have this whole, hey, there's this untraditional way of doing things too, folks. Remember that, and it's up to you to beat your own drum the way you want to hear the song, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so who should be engaging with you, Mike? You have your own business, you serve people. Who would benefit from working with you?
I would say the ideal business person that I would be able to help with would be someone who is kind of a more non-traditional type business themselves. Someone who is, whether they're young and building a business, whether they are well seasoned in a lot of experience and they're making a lifestyle change, or they're making a career change and they're trying to build a business. But ideally, a person who they have a pretty good idea of why they want to build a business. They know what they want the business to accomplish for them. They have some resources behind them so that they're able to, and I have resources that if a person's just starting out, I have resources that are very good and educational tools that they can use to learn the basics. But really the ideal scenario is somebody who is already out there doing something, already out there making things happen, creating their mission, and they want more direction on how to be more relational in it, for sure. How to, if they're networking, how do they take that networking that they're doing and turn it into an actual proactive, profitable activity versus just going to a networking and walking away with another great lunch or a bunch of business cards. Someone who has a business and they know at some point they would like to sell the business. I've met with a couple a week ago that they had a very successful business, but they also had partners in the business. And they didn't have a solid foundation behind the, meaning if something would have happened to any one of the owners, even though the business was worth a couple $1 million, if something happened to any one of the partners, they didn't have the foundation in place to take care of the business, the what ifs. If the business, if a partner had unfortunately passed away, the business likely would have, if not gone under, would have got a huge financial hit because they wouldn't have been able to easily absorb that type of impact. And there was a couple things that I was able to help them put in place that very inexpensively and very quickly turned that around to where they now were able to solve that dilemma. So I guess it's a long-winded answer to your question, but I would say somebody who identifies and knows that they are passionate about what they're doing can make a difference in the world if only they continue it and are open to someone helping them in the process.
Okay. All right. And Mike mentioned something that I think is very important because he addresses three things in his chapter. One is how to network and manage your network, how to manage your leads, how to take care of your business financials. And he alluded to that when he said it's somebody who wants to work on building relationships. Like, how do you network better? So it's not just business cards passing. How do you become proactive and build out a referral list and really start to develop your network in a different way? Mike does that. I just heard him do a training session 2 weeks ago, specifically addressing those points, and he captivated a room. Going a little further, Mike also helps business owners set up how to look at their business differently. This is that financial asset piece he was talking about, to look at how do I position my business so it can run without me. And that could be to sell it or to just run without you. So he has several great points that he can serve you on. And if you're looking to get relief, get wisdom in that, set up systems, set up a plan, and dive into it to make a difference in your business, Mike's your guy. How do you like that, Mike? Is that a good endorsement or what?
Yes, I love it. Thank you.
Oh, no
No,
problem.
true.
No problem. So, Mike, gosh, you talked about so much stuff here, and I have another question or two. But before we do that, because I imagine right now some people are saying, how do I get a hold of Mike Raber to help me with some of these things? What's the best way for everybody to get a hold of you?
There are really two ways. The first way is my website, which is microbizcorp.com. So microbizcorp.com. The second way is through our app, which not only is it a great way to get a hold of myself, and that is Brilliant Biz Book. All three B's are capitalized, so capital B, Brilliant, capital B-I-Z, and capital B-O-O-K. If you go to the App Store or Android, and where you traditionally download an app and put in Brilliant Biz Book, you'll pull it up, and it's a free app out there for people to, we hope, use. If you like it, definitely share it and tell others about it. If there's a place for questions that you can, if you have a question for myself or for any of the other apps on it as well, you can put that question in and one of the authors will get back with you. And also, if you would be willing to write a review, put a review on how something that you learned, how one of the things that listening to the app has helped you, that would be most appreciated too. So that, I guess, would be the easiest ways. The website has a lot of great information on it, as well as my contact information. The app has, and it's continuing to grow, such as this particular podcast on it. There's an incredible podcast channel. There are other really great resources on it. So rather than going into too much detail right now in the app, just download it. I promise you, you'll enjoy it. Even as an author, I still go through, and I know all the authors personally. I could pick up the phone and ask them questions. But you know what? There's things they talk about in their podcast I might not think of asking them. So I listen to their podcasts, and I have regret the time. And they're short podcasts too. So go there, check it out. And again, if you like it, please share it with others.
All right, great. So what Mike said, because there was just a little breaking up there, I want to make sure we get this right. The best way to get a hold of him is microbizcorp.com. That's his website. You can reach him directly there. Or he said, go to your app store and download Brilliant Biz Book. And that app has all sorts of wonderful things on it, like information about the book, about the authors, how to get a hold of the authors. You can even ask them questions. And he was talking about how he listens to all the podcasts through the app. This podcast you're listening to now and many others. We do at least one a week. And he said, have some fun with that. And he doesn't regret it for a moment because he listens to everyone as well. Mike, I have one more question for you. Can you handle
All
one
right,
more?
I'm ready.
Okay, cool. Cool. I'm curious, what are a couple, maybe 2 or 3 quick tips that you have for small business owners to always remember? You know, if you could wave your magic wand, what is it like? I always want them to remember too. What would it be?
Okay. Number one,
Yes.
most importantly of all, is make sure to continually focus on building a true financial asset rather than just a business. So when you are out there working on your business, give yourself a 5-year mark. Every 5 years, your business should have grown each year, year in and year out. And at the end of 5 years, either your business is at a point where you choose to buy it again for another 5 years and continue to do it, or you have the ability to sell it to
I
someone
love it.
else.
I love it. I love it. I love it. That is
Thank
a
you.
great invitation, and everybody should take Mike up on that. Okay, go on. What's number 2?
And number 2 is remember to focus on your why, the mission of why. What is your why? What is your mission out there? Why are you in business? And tell people your why. Share your why with people and follow up with what you do, rather than leading with what you do and hoping that they figure out the why. If you can get people, and I'll use this as an example actually of a gentleman, a couple I know in Seattle, are real estate. And every quarter they do a client party. And they have this huge community built around their business and this huge following and loyalty built around that. A couple of days before the party, she gets an offer for a listing. A person wants to come by and look at her house, possibly listed. A really nice house. It'd be a great house to have on the market for a realtor. But she's very busy. So rather than coming over and looking at the house, she suggests that the person goes to the party and then they'll talk there. Of which the person says, but don't I need to see your house? And my friend, the agent, says, no, I don't know if we're working together yet. Come to the party, hang out, talk to some of my clients, and then you and I can talk. So that was how it ended. She goes to the party. She meets the culture because there's such a great community, because everybody is involved with her why. Her why, her mission of her business is also their why. Her success is their success. By the 45 minutes of being at the party, the agent and the potential seller finally connect, and the seller walks up to her and says, what do I have to do to get you to list my house? Please, please, please list my house. Totally different reaction from the first conversation, because the seller got it. The seller realized that this agent, my friend, her business was far more deep than just selling houses. It was taking care of and serving the community at a level, being a trusted resource for the community. So I guess a very long-winded answer to your question is, in growing your business, become that resource. Become someone that your clients look to when they have needs other than just what you do. Create that why so your clients have a vested interest in your success, because they know if you succeed, if you continue to do what you do, other people will benefit, including them, and together they can help you change the world.
Cool. So focus on your why and become the resource.
Yes.
Got it. Okay, so I love this. I bet you got one more to share with us, and I think we want to hear at least one more. So you got one more? Because I'm
Well,
pretty,
yeah,
yeah.
I guess my other one, and this is something that I think you actually phrase on your site. Well, I know you do because I've seen it there and I love it. And you talk about how unconventional actions, conventional results.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I think is really cool about how you use, and I think you said you have a blog on that as well. But what I really like about that is it reminds me that in business, don't try to be traditional. Just don't, if I want to have unconventional, non-traditional results in my life, if I want true greatness, unfortunately, that usually is a non-traditional and unconventional result of our actions. I don't want to be conventional. I don't want to be traditional because, quite honestly, it's boring.
Yeah, we
I
got
want
enough
to be
vanilla in the world, don't we? Why
like,
be more vanilla?
right, right. I want to be a game changer. I want to be someone that people are proud to follow because they know as, again, by myself, I can do a lot of really cool stuff. But if I build a community of 10, 15, a million people, I can change the world. Let me rephrase that. We can change the world. So build a business and allow it to be unconventional. Design it to be unconventional. Of course, follow all the traditional things that you need to do in building a solid concrete business, like earning a profit, number
Yeah.
one,
Right. Right.
serving our clients and being honest and loyal and all the things that our clients, a true professional, the things that our clients expect us to be. But don't just stay within our own little box. Continue to grow, continue to be the person you were designed to be. One of my favorite sayings is our income will only rise to the level of our true self-esteem. And that is not only our own self-esteem, but the self-esteem of or intangible value of our business. Continue to grow that value, continue to strive to do unconventional as in great, amazing, using one of your favorite terms, Maggie, brilliant. Um, Basically, just shine. And if you do that, amazing results will follow.
All right. So, three things for us always to remember, according to Mike Raber, and that is continuously build a true financial asset, not just a job. I added that last part for
Cool. I
ourselves.
like that.
The other point was focus on your why and become the resource for others. And then your third point was about one of my phrases, because it's how I teach my clients to be and what I do. Unconventional actions get unconventional results. And I talk about that in our book in the introduction. I think it's in the introduction or it's in my chapter.
Mm-hmm.
But it matters because tradition, and I think tradition is your word,
Mm-hmm.
tradition can hold us back. It can become limiting. And I agree with you 100%. There are basics that must always be followed. Like you need to make a profit, and I call that the science of business. And then there's the art of business. And I think it's the art where we can allow ourselves to shine. And you talk about that. Be yourself, shine brightly. So these are important things, and of course, Mike and I overlap on a few of those, and we think that's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
All right. Well, Mike, I would love for us to have more time and continue, and I think we'll be doing that on another podcast episode. But for now, we need to wrap this puppy up. Can you give me a second or two to do our outro here
Yes.
and let folks give them a few more reminders of things here? Thank you. So, listeners, this is how you can learn more about and engage with #1 best-selling author Mike Raber. Start by reading chapter 5 in the book, Brilliant Breakthroughs for the Small Business Owner, and gift yourself and your business's performance by accepting the invitation that Mike has. He's offering it to you on his author's page at the end of the chapter. I'm not going to tell you what it is. You got to go read it. It's pretty cool. Plus, there's all sorts of handles of different social media sites for you to connect with Mike Raber on as well. So make sure that you check that out in chapter 5. Also, Mike was referencing that there's something really cool. Right now, you can see everything about the book and how to get a hold of it and anyone in the community, but more importantly, how to improve your business by going to the books app, Brilliant Biz Book. So go download Brilliant Biz Book. All 3 of those B's are capped. And click on the page that says Ask an Expert, and you'll see Mike Raber's name. Click on it and type him a question, and Mike will reply back to you. Won't you?
Yes, most certainly. I
Okay.
look forward to it.
Good. All right, so take advantage of his wisdom sharing because he is there. And that's what I really want to thank you for, Mike, is taking the time to do some fabulous wisdom sharing today. You're awesome.
Thank you. It's always enjoyed.
Thank you. And listeners, we appreciate you as well by listening to the Brilliant Breakthroughs podcast, where you learn about how to create more brilliant breakthroughs for your small business. So keep doing that. Follow Mike's 3 tips and shine brightly until next week.